boyfriend? Were you gonna check on him now?
Just
That's the girlfriend. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. South African philanthropist Nelson Mandela spoke these words before his passing in December 2013. He left us with that thought: how are we handling our nation's children? What happens to them when the basic family unit breaks down, when dads leave, or parents die, or mother's addicted, or father's abusive? What is left in the aftermath of these unfortunately common tragedies is almost always the child, the wary one who is neither the cause nor the reason. So how does society rise to meet this, to look at it head on and challenge the brokenness of the American home? I would suggest to you that the largest and potentially most impactful answer to that is not government institutions, but rather people. People like you and me stepping up. Here's how. Some of us may become foster families, some may donate money, and most importantly, we all educate ourselves to become knowledgeable of what is being done for these children and what can be done. In the United States of America, there was an estimated 402,378 children in foster care in the year 2013, according to the Child Welfare Outcomes Report from the Children's Bureau website. Also, according to page 45 of Wagner's book, Focus on Family Matters, the average foster care child will be in the foster care system for 2 or more years. Of these 402,378 children, 47% live in foster homes, and 14% live in institutions and group homes. As 2013 came to a close, 50,035 children were adopted, but yet hundreds of thousands of other children remain somehow in the foster care system. On top of these staggering numbers, the Children's Bureau reports this statistic: 1% of these displaced children ran away. While that number does seem small to us, once you do the calculations, this means that 4,024 children, 4,024 sons and daughters are unaccounted for, that are on the streets of their cities or in their local missions, or just simply lost with little hope of being found again. And what makes this all the more real is that the median age of a child entering foster care is 6.5 years old. You see, one of the first steps to getting involved in something big is knowing the facts. Back in the early 1900s, Roosevelt spoke this to his message in Congress, stating, "Upon these subjects relating to child life, public sentiment, with its great corrective power, can only be aroused by full knowledge of the facts." This quote was found on the Social Security Administration's website in the History of the Children's Bureau. So, however unpleasant, let us remind America of this issue and make sure we know the facts ourselves. We can start with our state. Referencing the foster care statistics from the Child Welfare Information Gateway website, in the year 2013, just our state of Nebraska had approximately 9 out of every 1,000 children become victims of abuse or neglect. In plain numbers, that's 3,993 children. Of the reported victims, 319 of those Nebraska boys and girls were victims of sexual abuse. These, among others, are the reasons why foster care exists, why adoption procedures function as they do. By looking just at our good life state, you begin to see how vital these institutions are for oppressed children. And this vitality, this need, doesn't decrease outside Nebraska, not when you look at the 8,901 physically abused children in Michigan, or the 5,328 sexually abused children in Illinois, or the total 64,603 total children abused and neglected in Texas. And these are just the reported cases. This is more than staggering. This is something that is crucial for the common citizen to know, because when we know what we're fighting against, we can effectively use adoption and foster care to fight back. To even be more effective, let's take another step back and check our knowledge of one of our solutions, our solution of foster care. How is the government involved, and how is foster care financed? In Nebraska, the CPS services, the Child Protective Services, is located within the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. This is detailed in the Department of Health and Human Services webpage, Become a Foster Parent. Though through federal and state funding, financial assistance is given to the actual foster family parents to subsidize for the expenses of caring for that child. In emergency foster care, care is limited to 30 days, and after that time limit, the status of the child is moved to traditional foster care. In traditional foster care, the child's needs and behaviors determine the payments amount to a foster family home. In Nebraska, the largest payment is called the maintenance payment. Given directly to the foster parent or parents, this payment is standardized based on the child's age or its special needs. It finances living costs, including room and board, personal needs like driver's ed, school needs, extracurricular activities, clothing, allowance, and transportation up to 100 miles a month. Because the amount to cover these needs differs with each child, the foster care payment determination checklist, or the FIC pay, determines how large the actual maintenance payment will be. The FIC pay operates with a point system and a series of questions asking about the specific necessities of a child. Each question is answered with a point value ranging from 1 to 5. I'll pass this around as a visual aid. For example, if a child needs speech therapy, then a higher point value will be assigned due to the extra expense of hiring a speech therapy specialist. The checklist total point value combined with the age of the child determines the amount of the maintenance payment. This is all described in the out-of-home placement and payment guidebook from the Department of Health and Human Services website. There are very smaller other payments involved as well. With all of these payments and charts, we understand that foster care is financially complicated, but also well developed and made to be dependable. While our federal and state systems of foster care act as our front lines to responding to children in need, it would be beneficial for us to also consider our very impactful sideline forces, our private organizations in the fight to rescue children. Let's particularly look at one of Nebraska's largest and most influential fighters, Christian Heritage. According to their website, Christian Heritage is a nonprofit organization that reaches out to abused, neglected, and abandoned children in Nebraska. Focused on strengths and based on faith, Christian Heritage was started out by a couple who decided to become foster parents, Greg and Lisa Nicholas. They felt led by God to care for Nebraska's youth in a large-scale way, and thus left their careers, opening a boys' home in 1981 and a girls' home in 1985. Foster care services were added to Christian Heritage's mission in 2002, and with successful locations now in Lincoln and Omaha and in central Nebraska, they have provided homes to literally thousands of Nebraskan children. As they recognize that the Bible gives the only true source to a hope and a true future, Christian Heritage strives to share the love of Jesus Christ with these hurting children. Along with that, the mission of Christian Heritage is, and I quote, to improve the lives of children by equipping families, promoting responsible fatherhood, and improving marriages, because we believe every child deserves a family. One of the reasons this mission statement is such a mountain mover is because it actually hits on one of the largest contributors to broken families in Nebraska, fatherlessness. Fatherlessness has become known as one of the biggest catalysts that plunges families into the foster care system. This is primarily why Christian Heritage has designed a program called Destination Dad. Working with the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services, the program targets incarcerated dads and works to prepare them to reunite them with their children. Through Destination Dad, over 800 incarcerated dads in Nebraska have been equipped with not only parenting skills, but with hope to restore themselves to their family. Another program of Christian Heritage called Family Finding works to find families for these children, and not just any families, but actually their families. You see, the program takes children who have been in the foster care system for years, who have no knowledge of their biological relatives, and searches the nation for aunts, uncles, grandparents, any unknown relative who might be willing to form a lifetime of support with these children or even become guardians and adopt them. This family finding program has shown amazing results, and these programs are not even close to all that Christian Heritage does with classes that they facilitate, their family outreach team, their marriage support resources, and more. You see, so much can be done in our endeavor to help children in need. Greg and Lisa Nicholas went from being salesmen in advertising careers to fostering a few children to now impacting thousands of lives across the state and being one of the most monumental fighters in this war. I realize that everyone can't be a Greg and Lisa, and that's impractical to say that we're all going to leave our careers to start institutions. But what we each can do is to be a fighter, a force for good. Whether we do that by becoming foster parents, or by adopting one of the thousands of waiting children, or by donating financial resources, or volunteering time, or simply by being aware, we share that there are children out there. We throw around the terms orphans and group homes and broken families in our dad numbers like they're insignificant and commonplace, and we forget that those orphans are people, and that those group homes are full of children who need to know that they're wanted, and that those broken families are humans who have lost their way and who are waiting to see if they're loved or if there's any chance of returning. We stand as a country united that preaches that we have a dream for everyone, and yet there are children, hundreds of thousands of children waiting to see if anyone will come and help them have a dream. Our school systems preach success and the prosperity of our nation and our future careers, while the very members of our society that will make up our future are left today to languish in the cold light of the mistakes of people who actually do know better. It is the children who suffer and who are left to face the fate that was thrust upon them. You see, policies can be initiated and delayed, and institutions can be opened and closed. But what will truly make the difference is reaching out with the hope of Christ by places like Christian Heritage, and by our churches, and by you and me, by people, by us. Spoken by Nelson Mandela. It is my deepest conviction that the children should be seen and heard as our most treasured assets, encouraged to engage in life to the full extent of their being, free from fear. Thank you.
Yay! And cut.